Welcome back, everyone. It's Cody Hart for Government Accountability. It is Saturday, September 14th, and I had an update for everybody. As everyone is aware, I do not stop, and I never stop trying to hold government accountable. And after I had informed the public and the Washington State Legislature of my impeachment inquiry petition against Bob Ferguson, I have continued to try to have the matter addressed for the other part of the facts about it, which is that he has broken the law, as the judge in the Thurston County Superior Court had judged him to do so, and breaking the law is a crime. So there are a number of crimes that he is committed, to my belief, and so I have gone down the path of trying to have those addressed, have investigations opened, and it's been a very good example of what I and others in government accountability have been trying to educate the public on, and that is there is no checks and balances. There is no accountability in our government in Washington State. And the Bob Ferguson situation appears to be bringing a lot of things to a head. I had known most of what's in this video for a while, but this particular case has condensed it and emphasized something about our law enforcement system and public accountability that many out there probably just haven't been willing to accept, and others just frankly don't know. So I'm going to go over a number of conversations today about filing a criminal report for election crimes and explaining to you guys as we go the system, how the system works, showing you firsthand how the system works and what we have here in Washington State. So this first conversation is with the Secretary of State's office. It's part of a much larger conversation. I've had quite a few of them that have made the same basic statements as you're going to hear. So I have just edited it down to a response from the Secretary of State's office about crimes in the election system, election reporting, and what the Secretary of State's role is when it comes to criminal activity. So would listen in.
I would suggest put it in writing. Provide as much information as you can, and we can take a look at whether that's appropriate. I will I should make clear that we are not an enforcement body. We have zero enforcement authority. We don't carry badges and guns. And so our ability to do anything is going to be fairly constrained. If you think that there was an actual violation of law, then that would be best reported through law enforcement authorities.
So make sure everyone understands the Secretary of State's office is an administrative office for our election system. They're not a criminal investigative agency. And many people misunderstand this. So when you report something to the Secretary of State's office for elections, I'm first not convinced they have any obligation, they don't feel they do, to escalate to having criminal investigations open, especially if it's against people within the state government, which you'll understand more so about as with some other conversations. So over the years, there has been a number of us who have identified problems with the election system, and we've reported it, Secretary of State's office, and nobody ever hears about crimes because the Secretary of State's office is not a criminal investigative agency. And I believe there is a lot of politics involved in why they don't involve criminal investigative agencies in Washington State for crimes that have been reported. I've reported a number of them, and I've attempted to have the matters addressed through the criminal complaint process, but as you'll find out, that's not very simple. So this next conversation is after I'd contacted the non-emergency line of the Thurston County dispatch to get a criminal investigation started and a case number started. I was sent down the first path of the Olympia Police Department. And remember, in most situations, there's always going to be about 3 jurisdictions that we deal with here in the state. It's going to be a city police, it's going to be a county sheriff's office, and the Washington State Patrol. We're going to go over all those today, but this one starts with the City of Olympia Police Department, and I thought I would give their response for the initial attempt to get the criminal evidence submitted and a case assigned.
Hello, Cody speaking.
Hi, Cody. This officer calls from Olympia Police Department. This phone call is being audio recorded.
Oh, okay.
Hey, so I'm just following up on your phone call about the fraud that's here on my screen. Okay.
Okay.
How can I help you out today?
Well, I wanted to submit affidavit, witness statement, and evidence in support of the criminal complaint.
Okay.
And
So
wondering how to do that.
that specific thing is going to be outside of my jurisdiction.
Okay. Then can you
I would recommend.
can you
Go ahead.
transfer me? Yeah, can you transfer me to who has jurisdiction then? Because I didn't assign it to you.
For you too, but I think you got the right spot with the Secretary of State's office.
It's a criminal complaint, and they don't investigate criminal complaints. And so I would just ask for the proper jurisdiction to contact me.
Okay, I can try to pass you on. I can try to, like I said, I'd probably try contacting State Patrol then, because outside of this, I believe that would have been the right area to go.
So many out there are going to have the same thing happen. You're going to try to report something. They're going to send you to Secretary of State. But as I had mentioned, and as you'd heard, Secretary of State's not a criminal investigative agency. And so when across the state, we have election crimes and people send to Secretary of State. Most people, many people, and early on, myself included, did not understand there was no criminal record, criminal complaint being initiated. And so Washington has a spotless record of no election crimes in Washington State when you send it to the Secretary of State's office, because that is not a criminal investigative agency. So the Olympia Police Department here had said, yep, we do not do that. Tried to send me to back to Secretary of State, and then ended up saying, okay, let's go to Washington State Patrol. So before we go to Washington State Patrol, I wanted to share with you guys my conversation that happened with the Thurston County Sheriff's Office and how they responded to my request to file a criminal complaint. Hello, Cody speaking.
Hello, Cody. This is Deputy Hanson with the Sheriff's Office.
Thurston County Sheriff?
Yes, sir.
Hey, thanks for calling me back.
How can I help you?
I'd called to submit evidence and affidavit witness statement for felony violations occurring in Thurston County.
Okay. And what sort of violations?
What? The key statute is RCW 29A.84.311. There's many more, but in general, it's about a falsified candidate declaration from an ineligible candidate.
Okay. So regarding the elections and all of that, correct?
Yes, yeah, the current 2024 elections.
Unfortunately for stuff like that, just because I understand it's happening in Thurston County, but I'm going to refer you to either State Patrol, because they deal with a lot of the Capitol and that sort of stuff, or you could also just go to the attorney, like the Attorney General's office. They might be able to take your report as well.
Not to my understanding. And I've already been through the Olympia police. I didn't request them. I knew they didn't really have jurisdiction, and they reaffirmed that. So,
sorry, I lost you a little bit. I heard that you went through Olympia, and then I lost you.
Okay, so yeah, originally when this is, I think, the third time I've tried to get this criminal complaint moving forward, and I generally knew that the sheriff's office has jurisdiction over everything in the county as a matter of constitutional law.
Correct.
And the Olympia police tried to involve themselves and did agree they didn't have jurisdiction. So if you have jurisdiction, I would just ask that I be able to give you the evidence and witness statement. If someone else needs to get a hold of me after that, I'll leave that up to you guys.
But what it comes down to is we just don't deal with election. Anything with the election, it's the state. And it would be State Patrol who would take care of that. So, yes, I do have jurisdiction in Thurston County, but I don't deal with the election.
No.
The same way that if a crime happened in Olympia, yes, I have jurisdiction in Thurston County, and yes, I have jurisdiction in Olympia, but I would refer you to them because it's their area of responsibility.
Yeah, and I'll let you guys figure that out. Again, it's fraud. It's a false perjured statement on a declaration. That's the core charge. and I do understand that you have jurisdiction. Again, I'm not going to, I want whoever has jurisdiction to take it, but I need to first give the evidence and witness statement for this to proceed, and I'd like to know how to do that.
For that, you need to call State Patrol.
Okay, so again, you do have jurisdiction, and I don't, until you've seen the evidence and witness statement, I would ask that you know, I'm not, how do I say this? I know you have jurisdiction, and I understand that you may pass this off, but I need to give the evidence and witness statement for anyone to establish the proper jurisdiction, and I'd like to know how to do that.
And I get where you're coming from, and I agree that Thurston County, the sheriffs, have jurisdiction over the entire county, but it doesn't, we're putting the cart before the horse a little bit. I can't take, I can take, but I'm not going to take witness statements and affidavits and stuff like that for fraud, for something like that regarding the election and all of that, when it's going to be a State Patrol case, because they're the ones who are going to have to investigate. And there's no easy way for me to take stuff that you're going to give me and hand it to State Patrol. And if I direct you to State Patrol and you get in contact with a trooper and stuff like that, and they just take it from the get-go.
So you guys heard it yourselves. They just won't take it. And I question how many tens of dozens of hundreds of people have reported crimes in our election system that have hit these walls where, first off, the Secretary of State does not conduct, nor can it initiate a criminal investigation. Olympia Police doesn't have jurisdiction for these things. The sheriff just straight up refuses to, said, we're not going to do it. You're going to go to Washington State Patrol. And so that's where I went next. Very interesting conversation with Washington State Patrol.
Something about Bob Ferguson. I don't have all the details of it. I do have a PDF that has some court documents in it. Can you walk me through what's going on?
Yeah, I think if you're looking, you've got, I believe it starts off with a witness statement, affidavit, declaration. That's the very first document. Is that correct? It's.
Let me scroll to the top here. The bottom's got some form to fill out. Yes.
All right. So I'll just generalize it because I don't have it in front of me and it says everything. So I became aware of a judgment in Thurston County Superior Court against Bob Ferguson for malfeasance. I had tried to have it addressed and before the primary, and here we are in the general, and I've just had to go through the criminal reporting process. So you have a number of RCWs and U.S. code violations, and the primary evidence is the judgment itself, which begins on page 5, where the judge in Thurston County had issued her judgment that he had acted unlawfully in his official capacity, which is by definition malfeasance under state constitution and state law and everywhere else you want to look. Anyway, so because of that, I filed a complaint with you guys because the Supreme Court case law and state law all support that he is ineligible to be a candidate, and he knew that as the Attorney General. He's been concealing this from everybody. I think on page 3, you're going to see some case law with the Supreme Court that I put in there. And the first item is just general verification that a judgment does disqualify you from being a candidate in an election. You'll see that Supreme Court case law there. Are you looking at it?
Yeah.
Okay, and then the second bullet is, these are just summaries. There's hundreds of cases, but these are just some that are pretty straightforward. The second bullet is actually referencing 3 Supreme Court cases that he cannot appeal or do anything about it. It's a legislative decision by RCW. I think it's, forgive me if I'm wrong, 9.92.120.
is one of the primary, or it's one of those. And I'd rather not try to quote them. I don't have them in front of me. But generally, I just tried to provide all my evidence because I believe I'm right about this. The judgment's pretty straightforward. And he's not going to enforce the law on himself. And because of his position, he's been doing this on purpose because he knows he is the position that's supposed to stop this stuff. And he's been intruding into this election since it started, using his, I'm going to use very precise words. He has been using his civil authority to interfere in this election, knowingly doing so at the detriment of everyone. And I know it's against the law, and I'm just trying to get someone to deal with it.
Okay, well, and this is not something that we generally handle.
Nobody does. It hasn't happened in 100 years.
Have you contacted the Secretary of State's office?
Oh yeah, no. The Secretary of State doesn't do this. They're not a criminal investigative authority. I should say that's what they've stated to me no less than a half a dozen times. They've stated to me that Washington State Patrol and county sheriffs are the criminal investigative authority for crimes, and the criminal aspect of this has to be investigated. The Washington State Legislature has the chief clerk of the court of the House basically told me this hasn't happened in 100 years. I'm just going to tell you the truth. I know nobody's done this because nobody in a position like Bob Ferguson has done this in 100 years. They've known better. And it happened in 1909 or something was the last time it happened. And so I know nobody's got, and nobody's going to have hey, we do this. No, nobody's done this in 100 years because nobody's committed this crime in 100 years.
Okay. The next place I would refer you to is the county sheriff, because so we have the Washington State Patrol has an agreement with WASPIC, which is the Police Chief and Sheriff's Association, where the local jurisdiction has primary right of first refusal.
And they did. They refused.
Okay, well, and we still there's nothing that I see here that we can do.
Well, and they told me the same thing. And it's been 10 days of 4 agencies between the Olympia Police, Thurston County Sheriff, Washington State Patrol, and I know the Attorney General and the Secretary of State's office. And it landed in your guys' lap, according to the Secretary of State, according to the Thurston County Sheriff, according to everyone else. They say you're the one. I'm not in charge of that, and I'm just trying to get this dealt with because, like I said, I am a victim of this, and I'm tired of not being able to have the crime reported that I'm a victim of.
Okay, well, I hear you, but
now I will give you another jurisdiction, and you can feel free, but I think it's primarily state jurisdiction. Is the U.S. District Attorney's Office has jurisdiction under all election laws of the nation, period. And I gave you reference to some of those U.S. code violations that they would have direct jurisdiction over.
Okay, well, again, I really am at a loss of what to.
No, you just got it. I understand. I would be the same way.
Okay, so I don't know what to do for you here.
Well, you're a criminal investigative agency. I've reported a crime. It's not about anything more than a felony. It is a felony. The statutes I've given you, and there's many of them. And the evidence is very compelling and overwhelming.
Okay, I have no idea.
Yeah. No, it's going to take a little while.
What we're going to do with this.
Well, the Secretary of State said you'd know what to do. I mean,
I hear you. I heard you say all of that stuff. But
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, this is not something that we're going to handle.
yeah, I know. If you need to involve someone else, I understand.
I'm just letting you know. So you're going to have to find somewhere else to go. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, I don't know what you mean by that. Everyone has sent me to you.
I've heard you say that, and I'm not going to send you to anybody else but the Secretary of State's office.
Well, if
It
you
sounds like they sent you to me, and I can't. I can't. I got nowhere else to send you.
Well, I'm just going to ask you forward the information to whoever thinks should have it. If you're saying you don't, everyone has sent me to you, and if you think it goes somewhere else, then send it somewhere else. That's fine.
I'm going to send it to the Secretary of State's office, and you're just going to get into a circle. So you apparently you seem to be the expert on it. So I'm going to let you find out who it needs to go to, because I don't know what to do with it.
I can't criminally investigate it. You're a criminal investigator.
I didn't say you could. I'm going to let you decide who to send it to, but I'm telling you, here is not the place to go with it.
So you're going to send it to Secretary of State's office?
That's where I would, and it sounds like you've already taken care of that.
No, I haven't taken care of anything.
No, you haven't.
This is
contact the Secretary of State's office.
This is a criminal investigative report. I contacting versus filing a criminal report are two different things. And that affidavit was
Mr. Hart.
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying, and I also hear the tone in your voice that I'm not going to sit here and listen to. Okay.
Well, I don't believe there's a tone. I don't. And
okay.
so
well, we will agree to disagree on that.
Yeah.
I've given you my response, okay?
I don't understand your response. Are you sending it to the Secretary of State's office?
I told you that that's where I would refer you to, and you said you've already done so.
Well, no,
I'm not sending it anywhere.
Is that how, and excuse me, you're the one in these positions. Is that how this works? I mean, you're not supposed to send it to someone now that you've been notified of a crime?
Mr. Hart, I'm done with this conversation, okay?
Well, I'm not. I'm going to ask that you forward it to an investigative agency who has criminal investigative authority.
Okay.
I'm going to ask that they contact me.
I hear what you're asking. I'm telling you I'm not going to do that.
Okay. Now, the previous sergeant said the Attorney General's office said you could send it to them. Are you going to send it to them?
I don't know what the previous sergeant told you. And if that's what he said he was going to do, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm not forwarding this on to anybody else. I'm asking for you to tell me who you think it should go to. You've already told me. And then I'm asking you you want to file a report, you got to file it. We cannot handle this here.
That's fine. I'm asking that you forward it to, if your office isn't going to take it, then I ask you forward it to a criminal investigative agency with criminal investigative jurisdiction.
Mr. Hart, I cannot file a report on your behalf.
No, I'm not asking you to. I'm asking you to forward it.
Okay, I'm done with this conversation. We're just going around in circles.
Whoever you send it to, just please have them contact me.
All right, bye-bye.
Well, that was a great conversation, wasn't it, everyone? Washington State Patrol, they made it pretty clear on their, they're not going to deal with this, not going to deal with anything to deal with the state. You guys, everyone needs to understand that. Anything with elections, they don't initiate criminal investigations. So it speaks for itself. I don't need to really say much. Now let's go on to the next one. We have a great conversation with someone with the auditor's office, and I think that you guys will really appreciate the feedback the auditor's office gave us on this subject.
I wanted to let you know I spoke to our director of legal affairs about your concerns, and both him and I are just we couldn't come up with another avenue, unfortunately, to direct you to, especially in state government. About your issues with the Attorney General's situation. So I know I kind of warned you that could be a possibility. I wish I could have something specific to give you, but I can just tell you that particularly our office is not involved with criminal matters, as I explained to you on the phone. I just, as I said, wish I could point you in a better direction. So my apologies, but that's
no.
At least community call you back.
No, that's all I can ask. So the office of the state auditor has no abilities on anything. And you mentioned it. I mean, it's more out of frustration. I'll say it. I mean, I've had state patrol, sheriff, city police, secretary of state all say they are not going to investigate anything that involves Bob Ferguson. There's something inherently wrong with this.
same entity type, the state, investigating the state is the challenge here.
But there has to be checks and balances. There has to be, otherwise there's been something that's happened in our legislation that the legislature doesn't know about. There has to be a check and balance.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with you. I agree. Fundamentally, that's the way it should be. I can't think of law enforcement at least at the state level. Like, I'm not surprised that that's the state patrol's reaction or response, because it's all part of the cabinet. Well, I know the AG is a separate elected official, of course, but it's still state government. I mean, thinking outside the box, and maybe it's not that far outside. I mean, the FBI might be an avenue for you to consider.
It is, but it's a nebulous void of 3 months from now.
Yeah.
I mean, unfortunately, I'm not a younger man, and I've experienced enough in life to know how this works. And it won't happen until next year if I start it now. I mean, that's generally how it works. And some agency has to typically contact them. I'm not upset at you. I'm not, and it's not your role even. And I know that.
I understand.
Yeah. But I can't find anything for any agency in the state that says, here's what to do when the attorney general is suspected of a crime. And every agency basically says, yeah, there's nothing you can do. And I don't know how our government's allowed to do this. But again, it's not you, and I'm not saying it is. Yeah, it's not you. So, all right, if you guys do come across something, I've been reaching out to some legislators, but they're all out of session. And I mean, it's just, again, when you hear me say this is not you. I know that. But this is just, it's embarrassing. It's an embarrassment that no one can say you can report a crime against the attorney general. It's not allowed. So, yeah, I'll leave it with that. Again, it's not a comment about you.
I understand. Yeah, I can sense your frustration, and I can certainly empathize with it. I just wish I could point you some direction, and I just...
Well, nobody can. Nobody can. I mean, no government has offered to provide any assistance. And so I thought government was there that's all they're supposed to do. And so I understand it's not you. I have to reiterate when you hear me talk. I do know.
Okay.
The only reason you guys are around is to protect us. And I don't get it. I mean, the only solution doesn't involve government, apparently, which is crazy. All right. Hey, you've got my number. If somebody who works for an elected official thinks that there's a way to address a crime committed by the attorney general, that would be great if they would just share that. So that kind of puts the cherry on top of this thing. We've gone through, just to recap, the Secretary of State's office. We've gone through the local Olympia Police Department. We've gone through the Sheriff's Department. We've gone through the Washington State Patrol. We've gone through the State Auditor's Office. And I think the Auditor's Office really hit on something that everyone should understand more about. There is no state investigative agency that investigates the state. And everyone needs to get that through their head. Next, the sheriff in Thurston County's office, they actually do have a constitutional duty. Everything's their duty in every county. And every sheriff in every county has a duty to investigate the state. That is a fact of how the state was set up. They will like to say, well, it's not in my county. No. The crime is committed against the residents of your county. So every sheriff in every one of our counties in this state does have jurisdiction. I don't know how widespread this problem is between the other sheriffs in the other counties, but Thurston County Sheriff apparently has a very good firewall set up because it is the center of our state government in Thurston County. and they just simply won't take cases against state officials or for crimes involving the state. And that is why we have had so much out of control in our state. There is no accountability. Next, yes, there is federal resources out there. I do try to reach out, but under the current administration of our federal government, it is very difficult to expect any change right now. Anyone who's paid attention should not be naive to this. And so we're left with my sarcastic comment that the only solution doesn't involve government at all. And the government is telling us that by not having a solution for us. It is that there is no government solution to fix corrupt government. And philosophically, that kind of makes sense, but not actually. And so don't go all off crazy on this thing, but think about it. If you as a people don't fix it yourself, they aren't going to fix it for you. That's essentially what this comes down to, and how we do that. We're still trying to figure out, everyone. This is quite the struggle. As you have listened to, there are no resources for us when the state has gone down this path that it's on right now about committing crimes and officials in the state committing crimes. And we are here as the public, as Americans, trying to get this resolved. Hopefully we get it resolved soon. I'm never going to stop. I have more updates, but anyone out there comes up with their own ideas, feel free. I don't have a corner on the market on this stuff. Feel free. Do whatever you want and whatever you can that you think will work. I encourage you 100%. So that is my update for today, you guys. Please share the news out there for all those who doubt. Please share and educate people on what Washington State really is and how it really works here when our government commits crimes. Thank you.